Remember the first movie you ever watched? Those scenes stay with us forever, right? But have you ever imagined enjoying the same movie just as much, or even more, as an adult? Howdy, folks. I'm TKC. This is Waffle Innit. Let me tell you why I find cars just as interesting and just as much of a treat to watch at 18 as I did when I was 3. As a kid, it was all about racing, the roar of engines, the bright red Lightning McQueen, zipping around the track, the chaos at the starting line. That was enough to get our hearts pumping. The thrill, the speed, the drama of the races made cars feel like the most exciting thing ever. But when we revisit as an adult, the racing takes a backseat. What really hits now is the story. Lightning's journey from a self-obsessed rookie to someone who learns the value of friendship, humility, and slowing down. That's what sticks. Doc Hudson's forgotten legacy, the quiet charm of Radiator Springs, and McQueen's final selfless act at the end. That's what makes Car go from fun to meaningful. And speaking of Doc Hudson, man, that character hits you differently when you're older. As a kid, he was just a grumpy old car. We didn't get it. But now you see the pain in his silence. You understand how it must feel to be forgotten by the world after giving it everything. Doc wasn't just left behind, he was erased. And yet, he quietly helps McQueen, teaches him wisdom even when he doesn't have to. It's heartbreaking and beautiful. You empathize with him because you start to understand what it means to lose your place in the world and how powerful it is still to give. Back then, Mater was just a goofy sidekick. The guy who made us laugh with every line. From his tow truck clumsiness to wild stories, he was comic relief at its finest. As kids, we loved him because he was funny, simple as that. But rewatch Cars as an adult, and suddenly Mater's character feels deeper. He's just not there for the laughs. He's the most genuine soul in the whole movie. He doesn't care about fame or winning or impressing anyone. He's just unapologetically himself. And that purity, that loyalty, the quiet kind of wisdom, that's something we only start to appreciate when we've grown up a bit and realized how rare people like that are. Mater teaches us that being real matters more than being popular. Now the town, Radiator Springs, used to feel like a filler, a dusty detour from the real fun. As kids, we thought it was slow, boring part of the film in between the two races. But as we grew up, we started seeing the beauty of it. Radiator Springs isn't just where the story happens, it is the story. It's a town full of people who care, who look out for each other, and who slowly bring McQueen into their world. When he finally fixes the road properly, not just to leave, it's because he wants to. You feel that shift. The town embraces him like one of their own. That moment of acceptance hits so much harder when you realize it's not just about asphalt. It's about belonging. And then there's the ending. As kids, let's be honest, the climax kinda annoyed us. McQueen is right there, about to win the Piston Cup, and he just stops, helps the king instead. We wanted the big win, the glory. But watching it now, the moment makes you pause. It's the moment McQueen becomes more than a racer. He becomes human, or a car maybe. He sacrifices the win to show respect. And the simple act, that gesture of empathy, says more than any trophy could. As Doc says, it's just an empty cup. It's about doing the right thing. Even characters we once overlooked start to stand out. Rusty and Dusty were just those weird old sponsor guys with jokes we didn't really get. Mac was the toy we always wanted. I had one too. But now you see the brotherhood. Rusty and Dusty believed in McQueen when no one else did. And Mac? That guy drives overnight, barely gets any sleep, and stays loyal no matter what. These characters who felt like background noise before are suddenly filled with heart. They represent loyalty, belief, and quiet sacrifice. The kind of values we start to understand only when we've lived a little. This video is getting really serious, so of course the funny moments, they still hit. Mater's jokes, the tractor tripping, Luigi losing his mind over the Ferraris, Guido's pit stop magic, all those bits are still hilarious. They don't get old, they don't feel childish. They remind you that Pixar didn't just make a deep film, they made an entertaining one. The humor works just as well at 18 as it did at 3. And now you just enjoy it alongside all the emotion. That's rare. And then the music. You cannot talk about Cars without talking about that soundtrack. Life is a Highway isn't just a song, it's a road trip. It was freedom, fun, pure energy. Real Gone by Sheryl Crow, straight up hype fuel. James Taylor's Our Town during Radiator Springs flashback, soul crushing in the best way. These songs didn't add to the movie, they elevated it. They became part of its DNA. The crazy part is, these songs still slap today. Whether you're driving on an actual highway or just vibing with nostalgia, the soundtrack is pure gold. And finally, there's a character, Lightning McQueen himself. When we were kids, he was cool, a red race car with attitude. But now we see how broken he really was. He had no friends, and he was all alone. And to see how much he grows from a selfish and fame-obsessed person to a car, to a thoughtful and self-aware one, his arc is about learning to listen, to care, and to let people in. He learns from Doc, from Mater, from the town, and by the end, he's not just a changed racer. He's a changed person, or car, of course. That transformation, that journey, is something that we only really understand when we grow up ourselves. So yeah, Cars. Still fast, still funny, still iconic, but also still wise. At 3, it gave us lightning bolts and laughter. At 18, it gives us reflection, warmth, and a quiet reminder that slowing down sometimes is exactly what we need. I'm TKC. You should go watch Cars again.